funny really, talking to people directly in real life, face to face. People are like libraries, there's this saying, I can read you like a book. But I see people as libraries, filled with other people's books, filled with Harry Potter, filled with, the origin of the species and William Shakespeare. But in there, in that library, in your library, there's at least one book that you wrote. And that's the book I always try and find in people when I'm talking in real life. Because even if I don't know what all of the books are in your library, I can go onto Google, go onto Amazon and order it, and then find out exactly what that information is. But that book, this is the book of your life, the book that you write, that's the one I want to read, because that's the only one that's not published. I'm not interested in finding out your opinions on Darwin's theory of evolution, or quantum physics, or even William Shakespeare. I'm not really bothered when I meet you or somebody. I want to read that book. I want to read your book. The funny thing is that book's not censored. It's got everything in it. But you decide which part you tell me, and the point is that what's in that book. I've talked to a lot of people in my life. I've had the privilege and chance of being able to talk to people away from workplaces. My job was a lead guitar player in a rock and roll band. On tour, you meet some incredibly different types of people from different cultures and different statuses in them cultures. All the way from the old man on the street with his old dog begging for dollars, all the way up to the record company owner or event organizer. All of these types of people, different languages and stuff. And I always try to talk to each person that I meet and try and get them to reveal a few pages of their own book, if you like, to give me a little bit of their own truth. And I always look for the things that are important to me. Things about individuality, things about freedom, things about truth and lies. I try to find out what company lies there are. Trying to find out if the baddies are really bad and the goodies are really good. I try and break people's minds a little bit. I try and pick their brains to make them really think about their own book, to make them really delve into the old pages. And there's always a common factor. And I don't know if I'd have got this common factor if I hadn't have come out on tour and talked to all these people. Because these people, all of these friends and all of these people that I'd ever met were mostly had a couple of drinks, had a couple of smokes or something, some kind of recreational drug or liquid or whatever. When you go to a pub, you start talking, things go deeper than just normal. And I find there's a common denominator within all of the people, and it's never seen on TV really. Something that everybody says, but nobody's saying to everybody. Something that everybody wants, but nobody can express. Some feeling inside that nobody can say. Everybody has kind of a similar ideal deep down. Sometimes it needs stripping away. When you say, "What do you want? What would be your greatest wish?" People would say, "Oh yeah, I'd like a motorbike." then you'd say, oh, I think you might want to think again. People would say, oh yeah, a long life. Think again, you know. When people think and keep thinking, they usually come back to basically, I just want to be me. I just want to be who I am. I just want to be happy. I just want to be able to grow in the way I grow. I want to be an individual but not alone. I want to be individual but still be accepted by others for my individuality. I want to be seen and valued for my differences, not my similarities. I want to be credited on the things that are good. For everybody maybe, but not, you know, everybody wants these things. Everybody wants to be free. People usually accept that freedom isn't infinite. You know, there's no endless freedom. You know, freedom is a state of mind. But to a large degree, our state of mind is being restricted by society and the way it's run, the system it's running on. Everybody I've ever met always says that without a government, the world would just, everybody would be fighting and stealing and cheating. There'd be wars breaking out. But as I said before, in another video, I said, you know, everybody say, you know, when I ask, if there was no government, would you steal and kill and loot and rape? And the answer's always no. I'd only steal if I had to. So need and greed are two different things. You know, need is just necessity, isn't it? It's just, if you need to eat, you can't not need. Greed is different, but at the same time, you can almost force somebody in need to sacrifice their life than somebody in greed. So, the system, would the system really turn to anarchy in the sense, should I rephrase that actually? The system, how do I say it? I mean, if there was anarchy, true anarchy, which means each person is responsible for themselves, each person is there to look after each other with no expectations, each person has rights but has no rights over another man. So it's up to each individual to find the common ground. It's not about panicky, which is, you know, where everybody just imagines flipping out and stealing and looting. So let me try and make this clearer. Everybody I've asked think that we can't live without government. I used to think this as well, and to some degree the thought still doesn't leave me. But I need to think another way, because there's a virus there. There's a virus. You know, it seems every time you watch television or all of these big media corporations put out information, or governments support archaeologists that talk about stuff, you know, like everything is based around this, the common good. For example, when Neil Armstrong apparently landed on the moon, or whoever it was, first steps on the moon, it was one small step for man, a great leap for mankind. You know, again, it's like kind of saying that the moon landing is for everybody. Take the pyramids of Giza. It said that they were tombstones. The archaeologists swear by that, some of them. when in actual fact there were never any mummies found in the tombs. There's no evidence of the tombs being tombs at all. And then the archaeologists will say, oh yeah, but the tombs were like, somebody stole the mummies and sealed the pyramids back up without noticing. Again, you know, the picture that we're getting portrayed, the bias leans towards what the government wants, what any government would want, is the idea of slaves working for authority, you know, working for the king. And that's the way things, great works are done. That's not true. That's not true. This world has been built by individuals, really, working together. A lot of people have had great ideas, and most of those great ideas go back to an unknown inventor, people we don't know. But people like Tesla, he wasn't interested in the greater good, I don't think. He didn't like people that much. He didn't like socialising. He had a lot of like tics and habits. He had the passion. He had the desire to invent machines, to invent electrical circuitry for the world. He invented radio, remote control, and X-rays, and AC power. All of these different things, loads of things he invented. Now, a lot of people don't know Tesla. A lot of people know the Beatles. But without Tesla, the Beatles might not be so popular. The point being is that any government, any authority, any leader or teacher has the danger that they will keep the pyramid structure going so you feel smaller, so that it works. You know, take a rock and roll band. You know, it's often a singer, say, who represents the band. So, you know, often there's a hierarchy, even amongst free individuals who have nothing to do with the government. You know, a rock band's got its own internal workings, but you get, you know, the singer, then maybe the lead guitar player, then the rest of the band, and then below that you've got the crew, the lighting engineer, and below that you've got roadies, and, you know, at the bottom of the pyramid you've got all the fans, sort of thing. That hierarchy is just there because that's the way it works. So it's a natural occurrence, but the danger comes where the lead singer tries to pretend that he has some kind of authority over the rest, you know, starts putting out threats, starts saying things like, oh, I'm paying for this, so you better do what I say, or if it wasn't for me, you know, if you hear them words, if it wasn't for me, then look out, because you've been, you know, authoritized downwards. And so that's what happens in government, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's the answer? What is the answer? What is the answer? Do we need a government, or can we find natural common ground? And does the government, you know, obviously, what if I say, oh no, we don't need the government, and we all agree, it's not going to change things tomorrow. So it's obviously, even if it's a brilliant idea, it's still gonna take time. It's still a transcendence. So whatever we think is a good or bad idea isn't going to come about instantly. It's going to be like planting a seed that grows. And it's just deciding how to plant the seed and then to watch and nurture that seed and its growth. Give it water when it needs water. And so that's really this question, you know. Do we really need government? Or do we just need a small administration group that we can pay? You know, can we find common ground together as human beings on this earth? Just like I did in when I was in the rock band. You know, there was no Nobody there to look after us. We all got angry at each other. We all had a shared goal to make music with the fans, to come and watch the gigs, have some great fun. So, you know, in the band we had like 9 completely different people, 5 musicians, and it's amazing to watch such chaotic people, in a way such desperate people we were, all get along and get through the real hard times. And even though that's just the macrocosm of society, I have belief that that's how natural authority, natural teamwork takes place. I think as soon as the singer, or as soon as one member of the band or a manager or anybody stood up and started to say, if it wasn't for me, you know, things like that, or I'm paying for this, or to kind of throw in their own little power point, then that's where it gets dangerous. That's where things fell apart. You know, as soon as one person wanted to rule the others and bind the others to some kind of idea, that was when it was out. You know, things worked the best when I was playing guitar, the drummer was playing drums, the bass player was playing the bass, and we weren't like forcing each other to play anything. You know, obviously we told each other where things we liked and didn't like, and that was enough. And we got into arguments, but just the same way as a rock band argues amongst itself and has a common goal to make great music as individuals, I'm sure that we can do that as a society. Globally, people are all the same. They only speak different languages. They're only brought up in different cultures. Of course, we've got a little bit of deprogramming to do amongst ourselves. You know, old ideas need to go. But I think, you know, over the next 10 years, I think it's easily possible to completely move away from government in that way. Okay, so I'll leave it there. I just wondered what you think, you know, whether you think that there'd be just war and mayhem without government, or there'd be some kind of natural transcendence into a more community way of doing things, you know. So yeah. Write your comments below and subscribe if you already haven't, and all of them things that you always plug at the end of these types of videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Have a great time. Cheerio.